Chag Purim Sameach, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Rolene Marks, brought to you by Lay of the Land. Hey, it must be Purim if it's the annual wearing of the bat mask. And if you think I look a bit strange, you should see what the rest of the country looks like. Yes, it's the annual festival of Purim. If you listen carefully, there is a Megillah reading at one of the schools next door to me, and you can hear the children singing along. But today, Israel is very festive as there is a whole host of people dressed up for the occasion. My personal prize for best dressed goes to the young gentleman I saw walking yesterday, covered in post-it notes. While that is an everyday occurrence for me, I thought his costume was very, very original. But without further ado, let's take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. And anti-government protesters have called for Thursday to be another day of disruption. Protest organizers have called for people to protest in and around Ben Gurion Airport to disrupt the traffic there as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah depart for a state visit to Rome. Former commander of the Israeli Air Force, Eliezer Shkedi, has come out against reservists who have threatened not to show up for work. And while he has done this, he has also said very, very strongly, in no uncertain terms, that the proposed judicial overhaul must be stopped in its tracks. Shkedi was one of 10 former IAF commanders that signed an open letter to both Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant yesterday, calling for a halt to the judicial overhaul, saying that it poses a significant threat to Israel's national security. Now, somebody also calling for a stop to the judicial overhaul is the former Speaker of the Knesset and Likud MK, Yuli Edelstein. Edelstein went on to say that there are many more MKs, that is, member of Knesset, that object to the judicial overhaul. Now, this is very interesting because Yuli Edelstein is a member of the ruling Likud party. Meanwhile, another Likudnik, the Minister of Communications, Shlomo Karhi, has said that those reservists who do not show up for duty can go to hell. He said that Israel does not need them, a sentiment I would gather not shared by the majority of Israel's citizens. Now, staying with the coalition government, we go to Itamar Ben Gvir, who gave quite a controversial interview to Kan, the national broadcaster, yesterday. One of the points he discussed was calling on the police to dismantle any illegal outposts or any illegal homes being built in East Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan. Now, this practice was ended about a decade ago because it led to increased tensions, and it comes at a time when IDF officials have warned that this Ramadan could see a significant uptick in violence between Israelis and Palestinians. And this follows the murder of at least 14 Israelis at the hands of Palestinian terrorists. Now, also during the interview, Ben Gvir said that while it is wrong to generalize all protesters, he said that there are some that were calling for the murder of himself and Bibi and Sarah Netanyahu. Yair Lapid, the leader of the opposition, responded to that comment by calling him a lying clown. According to Syrian media, the Israeli Air Force is alleged to have struck the airport in the city of Aleppo in the early hours of this morning. Airstrikes caused significant damage to the airport, and it is now not in service. Now, while the IAF will neither confirm nor deny strikes on Iranian targets in Syria, it is a common practice for the Air Force to strike Iranian targets that are trying either to launch attacks on Israeli sovereign territory or transporting weapons through Syria for use by either Hamas or Hezbollah. And finally, I'm not dressed like this for nothing. Well, maybe off air I am, but today is the festival of Purim, or the English direction or translation is the festival of Lot. Now, what does this mean? We go back to ancient Persia, which is now modern day Iran. And of course, Purim at the moment is a wonderful allegory or comparison to the modern day situation between Israel and Iran. Now, an evil government minister by the name of Haman was in power, and he had a plot to kill, destroy all the Jews of Persia. Now, the ruling king at the time was King Xerxes, or as we call it in Hebrew, or call him in Hebrew, King Ahasuerus, married to Queen Esther. Queen Esther was Jewish but hid her identity, hence one of the reasons we wear masks. The other reason is that even if we think that Hashem or God hides his identity from us, his identity will always be uncovered and miracles will come. Well, Esther was approached by her uncle Mordecai, and he appealed to her to risk her life and uncover the plot of Haman to kill the Jews of Persia. Now, this would mean a great risk to Esther. She would have to reveal her true identity. She eventually did, and King Xerxes ordered Haman to be executed. Now, ahead of International Women's Day tomorrow, I happen to think that Esther, or Queen Esther, was the original girl boss, or the original feminist, and is proof of the actions of one person to really change the destiny of so many. And today, of course, we celebrate Queen Esther and her wise uncle Mordecai as we read the Purim Megillah and celebrate the destruction of Haman, Freudian slip there, by eating Oznei Haman. Those are Haman's ears, because we're Jewish, and hey, we like to eat. What is a Jewish festival without something delicious to eat? And that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. But don't forget, if you want to check out all of our original content, our Israel Briefs, all our wonderful articles, you can do so by visiting our website at www.layoftheland.online. We've got more about the whole controversy around the South African Rugby Union and the rescinding of their invitation to the Tel Aviv Heat. You can also check us out on Facebook. I know many of you are saying you're not always seeing our content, but if you do, please like us, follow us, and share our content. We are also at Lottel's site, so if you don't see us, hey, pay us a visit. We love it when you do. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. If you haven't already clicked on that red subscribe button, please do so. Let's grow our community and get the news from Israel out to as many people as possible. And we can only do that if you subscribe, like, and share our content. And we're on Twitter at layoftheland5. I'm Rolene Marks. Chag Purim Sameach, and don't forget to join me again tomorrow for your top stories.